Everyone goes on about using motivation, or I need motivation, or I need to see this new Instagram video. And for a long, long time, I used to be that exact same way. I say maybe about 10 months ago, I used to be that sort of person who, would watch a motivational video before I started working, or I'd watch one during lunchtime, or I'd be listening to some audio by David Goggins, Hermosi, Andrew Tate, whatever. And I started to realize after a couple months that it was just trying to get to the next high, trying to get that sort of self where, that sort of position where I'd be in the mindset of starting working. And reality is now I'm 17 and I don't use motivation at all. It's not even a concept within my mind. But I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and they were mentioning the fact that yeah, I just lack the motivation, and I kept on thinking, what do people actually still use this? And truth be told, I don't use this anymore. I use obviously discipline, but how do I, gain discipline without extrapolating motivation from it? And the key component is something that I mentioned in previous videos, which is to always understand the final goal of what you're trying to accomplish. Whether you're studying for a test or whether you are training for something important, use that and extrapolate that as your final goal. And as a result, you don't need motivation, because motivation is only just you trying to find yourself a reminder as to why you should keep on going. But if you've already, hit small milestones, hit small successes, and in general are heading on the right trajectory, you don't really need motivation at the end of the day. And truth be told, it took me a long time to realize this, as maybe around 5 to 6 months of me just doing the exact same thing over and over. And it wasn't even until this early January, maybe late December of last year, that I started to realize that it was kind of futile. I was always just trying to get to the same high and over. And something that you don't realize about motivational videos is that the more you watch them, the more tolerance that you build for them, and as a result, you stop watching them. And this is where some people go either two paths. Number one, they stop watching motivational videos and they, as a result, use discipline as something that inside their soul every single day. Or that's the path that I went on. Or they go on the second path, which is motivational videos don't work for me. This might not be for me, and they just stop doing what they're trying to do in their life, or achieving their goals, whatever. And that is not the path that you want to go to. And I had to find this out self-evidently by myself when I started to stop watching videos related to motivation. I kept on thinking, oh wow, I don't really need motivation anymore. I'm just so focused, locked in on my goals, and I'm super happy I went down that path, because if I didn't, I would have went down the second path, which is motivation isn't really hitting for me. Maybe I don't really, it's not working for me, and you need to go on the first path, which is using the idea that motivational videos do not work for you if they've stopped working for you, and trying to extrapolate discipline. Every day I wake up at 5:30. My bed is right here, as you can always see. I work here, I eat here, whatever. I even got I got my water bottle here, and just everything is done here. And even albeit I do drink caffeine as well. We have some Monster right here, 0 sugar, and that's empty. But point being is that you need to find your own reasons as to why you should keep on striving forward. So for me, for example, I have I want to support my family, for example. That's something that is really, really close to home. I'm also heavily, if you've been on this channel or if you've been on this channel for a while now, if you know me as a person, you know that I'm not very supportive of the, going to college and, all of that stuff. I don't mind other people doing that. Like, other people, like, I might have some friends who might be going to college or like celebrating going to college, and I'm not against that, right? But like me personally, I'm just not down that. I just don't really like that sort of path. And truth be told, I always remind myself as to why I'm going. Why am I still going? Why am I still doing business? Why are you waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, praying, and then immediately just getting straight to work at this desk and working until the late hours of the day? And you need to have that sort of reason as to why you should keep on striving forward every single day. Another thing that I see related to people who are trying to strive for motivation is that they have so many limiting beliefs when it comes to starting in whatever they're trying to do. So for example, if they don't have the day planned, for example, they start to rely on motivation. But for me, for example, I plan out my days beforehand, and I get out my clothes the night before, I take a shower the night before, so I can sleep well. Just these small little things. And I mentioned this in the previous video, and I know I'm starting to become repetitive, but my point being is that when you have small things in your life that eventually add up, it's very, very hard to start relying on motivation, because you basically planned for this exact contingency, and ultimately you start to become more focused and disciplined, and all these sort of words that actually are very, very beneficial. I'm not running. For example, I like to say that I work 12 to 13-hour days some days. Some days I take a day off or whatever, and I can tell you for one simple thing that I'm not using motivation in any sort of way, because when I was using motivation, I was still doing maybe 10-11 hours a day, but it wasn't focused. It was just like maybe 6 hours of genuine focused, locked in work, and 4 hours of just straight, I don't know, like screwing around and just like not doing as beneficial work as I could be doing. So, truth be told, what you need to be doing is planning the night before, making sure there's no contingencies, making sure there's simple things within your life that go a long way. Having your water bottle prepared the night before, having energy drinks ready so you can be as focused as possible. And then all you have to do is find the goal as to what you're striving for, and do the things during the day and plan in your schedule what's going to get you to that goal every step of the way. That's it. That's the entire video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, if I'm not dead.